So we all know about the Titan submersible that imploded a little bit less than a month ago, but what if I told you OceanGate actually has another submersible that was built before Titan called the Cyclops 1, and there has been a little bit of confusion when it comes to the Cyclops 1 versus Titan, mainly because Titan was originally called Cyclops 2 until 2018 when they changed the name. But Cyclops 1 is the other OceanGate submersible. In March of 2015, OceanGate unveiled the Cyclops 1, which is a 5-person steel-hulled submersible capable of diving up to 500 meters. Of course, the Cyclops 1's fatal flaw, I guess you can say, is the fact that it cannot reach Titanic's depths, which is kind of why it's irrelevant at this point. But it does have a steel hull, no carbon fiber, and a much more impressive window, much bigger acrylic window to look out and see things. The name of it was inspired by its strengthened acrylic window. The submersible is steered by a modified wireless game controller just like Titan, and the vessel has a battery life up to 8 hours. It has been used for various commercial and academic expeditions. OceanGate created Cyclops 1 in collaboration with the University of Washington's Applied Physics Laboratory. Boeing worked with OceanGate and the University of Washington for initial design analysis. In the initial design, the hull was to be made of carbon fiber, but this idea was scrapped in favor of a steel hull. OceanGate acquired the steel hull for the Cyclops 1 in 2013 after it had been used for 12 years and fitted it with a brand new interior, underwater sensors, and gamepad pilot control system. And Cyclops 1 has been on various dives, but in terms of the OceanGate spectrum, it has fallen into, or at least it was falling into irrelevancy due to them focusing on their big cash cow, which were the dives down to the Titanic that had a price tag of $250,000. So Cyclops 1 had the exact same remote control rinky-dink design, but the most key factor with it, I would say, would be the steel-hulled interior. Also, I want to make a note of the design of the Cyclops 1, because there's been things about Boeing to where Boeing came out after the Titan implosion when people started looking around and seeing who designed it. Boeing came out and said, we really had nothing to do with it. And the reason that it's kind of cloudy is because Titan's hull was redesigned in 2020. I do think Boeing did have some initial input on Cyclops 1, but it does get cloudy when it comes to Titan. You would figure, though, if Boeing helped design Cyclops 1 and it was deemed a success, why wouldn't OceanGate also go to Boeing in terms of a Cyclops 2 design? Of course, Cyclops 2 later becoming Titan in 2018. And then you also have the idea this one as well was originally designed to have a carbon fiber hull. They scrapped it and changed it to steel. So this one you would think would be the better one just in terms of the hull strength. And then the big question becomes with the situation surrounding OceanGate, are they going to go bankrupt if they get sued? Do they cover themselves with that waiver? I still think there is an opportunity for them to be sued due to negligence. Even if you sign a waiver, you're still liable if there's significant negligence. And when it comes to Stockton Rush and OceanGate coming out and saying it's not safe, it's experimental, I think the big issue is him saying, volunteering to say, I skirt around the rules, I don't care. I think rules are basically limitations and it kind of holds back innovation. Him saying that is going to be a big problem for their company when it comes to a potential lawsuit. Maybe they are able to cover themselves, but even if that happens, my prediction on what happens to the Cyclops 1, which right now presumably is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. They're probably going to need a new controlling system, right? I don't think they're going to be using that gimmick, remote controller from Logitech, but I do think that OceanGate will just have to end up selling the submersible. Their reputation has been destroyed. This is one of the bigger stories of 2023, and I don't think anyone's going to go on any dive with them I mean, they could have a completely steel chamber hull, like build a brand new submersible, and their reputation is so destroyed that I think the Cyclops one's future, even though it is a submersible that was designed differently than Titan and doesn't go deep down to the Titanic but still can go pretty deep, I do think its future is very bleak, and it's probably just going to get sold by OceanGate. Another interesting thing that I found, this was one of the first OceanGate articles ever on the internet. In October, actually Halloween of 2013, just a coincidence, company plans carbon fiber sub to dive deeply cheaply. What an amazing headline for Ocean. One of the OceanGate's first articles talks about them cutting corners and being cheap by designing a carbon fiber hull. And back in 2013, this was originally about Cyclops 1. Like I said, the timeline of it, it was originally supposed to have a carbon fiber hull. We can just speculate on why that changed. Was it them consulting with Boeing? Was it them consulting with the University of Washington? And them saying, look, it's risky to go with the carbon fiber hull. You need to change this. They end up doing that with Titan. They save a lot of money. They save a lot of room on the interior with the carbon fiber hull. And then they're forced to replace it after submersible experts come out and say this isn't safe. Unfortunately, they replaced the carbon fiber hull with another carbon fiber hull. But when it comes to Cyclops and this article, it says the vessel's hull will be made from 7 inches of razor-thin layers of carbon fiber reinforced plastic. It's the same kind of material that forms the wings on Boeing's 747. I'm sure Boeing is, well, honestly, I guess it doesn't matter anymore because this article was from 2013, but that is funny. That's not good press for Boeing. Traditionally, such vessels are made with steel to withstand incredible pressure, and Cyclops 1 did eventually end up getting made with steel. Stockton Rush said using the lighter carbon fiber cuts down on the bulk material while still being ultra strong. That allows for a faster sub, a larger viewing window, and an entirely different deep sea experience. It really seems like Stockton Rush was fighting a lot of different factors in order to be able to dive down deep enough to the Titanic, but also have enough room in the interior to house as many tourists as you could fit, because it does cost a lot of money from the company just to perform these dives. So the more people you fit, the more money you make. And it seemed like it was a battle, how trying to keep it safe, but also trying to jam as many people in here, while also having a window to look out and see the actual Titanic. The Cyclops 1, completely different steel hull, and evidently it could not go down to the Titanic. It was not capable of diving that deep. So right now, Cyclops 1, its current status, I'm guessing it's just being stored somewhere. They're not going to be using it. I would imagine that OceanGate would end up selling it depending on what happens to their company, but they have such a horrible reputation at this point. I really can't surmise another outcome other than them selling it. It still does seem like a very fine submersible that probably needs its controls replaced. The whole thing with the Logitech controller seemed like they were using that for both the Cyclops 1 and the Titan. But other than that, due to the steel hull, I would imagine they would be able to sell it. That one seems a lot more sturdy and a lot more safe than the Titan one. And it's not a coincidence why. I mean, Titan was the one that went down to Titanic. It went deeper, and they wanted to push the boundaries, make it as big as possible, make it as cheap as possible, and we see the final result. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.